Doesn't Lush even say imbalance demands it? Like, come on. This is some sort of inside joke.
Is that actually a quote?
Yeah. It just whatever, man. He's so arrogant looking too. Look, Abraham Lincoln, goat.
He hates everything too.
Abraham Lincoln the goat.
Abraham Lincoln the goat.
He will not stand.
So you want to see a cosmetic with a stovepipe hat?
Yeah, that would be really awesome. It's like Abraham Lincoln goat. He can't stand if the South secedes. It's like the same thing. He's like, I can't. He's like, I can't be nerfed. Don't make me lose my lightning.
As a special little Easter egg, if you look really closely at Leshrac, not the side that you see in the profile here, but maybe like in-game showcase view, you could see like a slight little hole.
Oh my god, that's so messed. That guy was our president, one of our greatest ones too. What is wrong with you? You took that way too far, man. I'm just trying to meme. Oh man, if you get fired, I was not on this train. This was Webus. He just has a really good impression of me, yeah. This was Austin Capitalist Walsh. If you would like to file a complaint with Valve. Austin Capitalist Walsh. And Webus. Johan Webus. Is it Westerg?
It's something like that, yeah. It's
Webus. It's...
Wepis. We're trying to throw you under the bus. Yeah, please tell me how to spell your name.
Oh man, you know what? I don't actually know a lot of people's last names. I don't need Trolls Nielsen.
Yeah, Trolls.
Toby
Nielsen.
Dawson.
Yeah.
Gareth Dirksen.
Bateson.
All
right, you're not gonna run through everybody you know and try and guess their last name. I know this is a little bit more of a relaxed draft analysis, but
you want to know the real draft analysis?
We can do better.
Ehome has like the weirdest lineup. They do no damage aside from Leshrac.
Yeah.
But good thing Leshrac does a little dip.
They have the facilitators that we talked about. And let's not, like, Winter Wyvern and Darkseer is an insanely powerful combo. Like, they did not ban away the Darkseer. EG did not ban away the Darkseer.
Skywrath is really good against Winter, though. It's one of the better ones. And Nyx, a hero that is just good against Leshrac. Like, Nyx Assassin is so good against Lesh.
Yeah, I mean, you can't actually stop, like, Spike Carapace is naturally going to hit you somewhere. You have this mana burn that is the incredibly high amount of damage and low cooldown. And Nyx Assassin has been seeing a lot more play because he's also has this now upgraded late game, right? Which the Aghanim Scepter. And Octarine Core, which benefits him as well.
You know what? I thought the Nyx Assassin Aghanims was going to be garbage, but it's kind of hilarious. It's like when an immovable...
No, it's actually really good. I mean, let's be honest. Like, what other item are you going to go for in Nyx Assassin late game? There aren't very many item trees that you're like, oh yeah, Nyx Assassin, really valuable, you know, X hero.
When I thought I was a good Dota player, I tried to get Nyx into like this really weird... I tried doing Drums Deso.
What?
Drums Deso on Nyx. So your Vendetta hit just does a ton?
Uh-huh.
Would you like to ask me how that went?
I can guess.
Just ask me.
Okay, how did it go?
It was terrible. It was not good Dota. I've had better ideas in my life. I would like...
Whoa, Luna is the last pick up here for Ehome. What's that all about? It's not particularly
Ehome felt so filthy after picking Leshrac. They're like, we have to balance this out by picking a hero that's not very good or picked at all. So let's take one of the most popular heroes and stick it with one of the least popular heroes.
I mean, seriously, it's not very good versus... I mean, I feel like Stormseer and Nyx Assassin both like threaten the Luna really easily.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Tusk actually can get up.
I can't even believe... I guess they're just trying to 5-man, and Luna's a really good 5-man carry, but I still don't like it. Because Universe can spike Carapace to reflect like 1/4 of her damage. And then from there, the Skywrath blows you up. Because, okay, here's what I predict this happens. Okay? I think the Skywrath just rotates and kills the Luna. Like, as soon as the supports rotate over, then I think the correct move by AUI here is just, instead of even going to the mid lane or anything like that, here's what I hope will happen, okay? I hope that the Skywrath simply just goes to the top lane and just harasses the Luna, because eventually the Rubik and the Winter Wyvern are going to leave. So if you just go and gank YJ, who I've only seen play like Razor this entire tournament, if you think about it, right? Then it's such a weak hero early game. Like, you have to abuse it really early on.
All right, well, welcome into the mainstream. Evil Geniuses versus Ehome, game number 2. Blitz and I were talking about it, and we really feel like Ehome, if they could just clean up their game a little bit, we could have a very epic game on our hands here. But that's kind of what we've been saying the whole entire time, right? Is that Ehome seemed to look near flawless in some of their early game, where they have this plan, they're executing it very well, and then they just seem to make very simplistic mistakes.
Yeah, 2 things. I don't want to take anything away from EG last game. Like, they played that game absolutely phenomenally.
Yeah.
Like, the way that they recovered, they did that so well.
The bait out from the Universe Sumail bait out was next level.
But the reason why it sounded like we were Ehome biased or trying to keep Ehome in the game is not that I'm biased towards Ehome, but it's more that in all of Ehome's games that we've casted, they come so close to winning. Like, they play really well, and then something just seems to slip. It almost feels like they're a top-tier team for the first 15 minutes, and then something in them just mentally breaks, and it's just disappointing to see. Like,
and also you can tell in a lot of games that Ehome are facing up against, they are struggling to keep up or stay ahead, right? Like, the natural resting phase a lot of the times results in teams just being able to slowly but surely get ahead of Ehome via out-farming them.
Yeah, so EG, absolutely dominant. I think in general, the way that we focus our cast for people that are just tuning in is we still want to make the game closer, at least be able to praise both teams equally, if not try to highlight some of the things that the losing team is doing well, despite their loss. But Sumail versus CTY mid, I'm really excited to see this just because I don't know how Sumail's possibly going to win this lane. Like, in my opinion, this just isn't a winnable lane, and I'm really surprised that Ehome was willing to give Sumail Storm, because that's the 3rd time I think I've seen Ehome lose to Storm. It seems like it's a hero they struggle with, but they must feel really supremely confident in CTY's ability to beat him mid.
I mean, it is a quite one-sided matchup, right? I mean, most of the intelligence mids that face up against Leshrac are naturally going to lose, but this is Storm Spirit. He has no escape mechanism, so Leshrac is just going to be able to spam out a lot of lightning bolts, and they will always bounce to Sumail because whenever you're up against Leshrac, it's all about the mid vision, right? Especially during the nighttime phase, CTY is just going to be able to spam out lightning over and over again. It just like will constantly bounce to Sumail because he's got vision over the cliff, even during nighttime.
Yeah, and he actually just narrowly misses that stun, and if it had connected, CTY probably would have walked away with the first blood. But part of the problem too with Storm, I guess, is just the low amount of move speed that you have makes the lightning storm even more powerful. But that's my always 1-minute analysis of Storm in the very beginning of games where he's picked. And focusing on the other lanes, Universe at top, I think PPD actually went over there and helped him. And if you look in this mid lane too.
So here's what he did. If you look at the tier 2 tower area, Tuskar can actually sit here and be able to throw ice shards.
Look at PPD. He's actually just dragging creeps. I've seen this done before, but I think this might be my first seeing it in a pro game. And PPD farming out the jungle, and he's actually making this lane winnable now for Sumail, as he took away a full lane of creeps from CTY.
Yeah, he's basically next leveling the support Tusk. He gave Universe a pretty decent lane. Unfortunately, he's going to die now, though. That's going to be our first blood. Goes to DDC. Grab his boots up. So it looks like Universe just a bit too far forward. But he set up the lane for the creep equilibrium to push forward very early on, and now he's actually helping to win the middle lane. So this is probably why EG felt maybe a bit confident about the Storm Spirit versus Leshrac matchup, because they have this sort of ace in the hole.
Yeah, this is really neat. I like that. It's one of the ways to deal with Leshrac. And if you can actually get any sort of stacks up for Sumail, it would help a lot. But kudos to PPD for being able to actually pull it off. And in this mid lane, Lanem looks like they want to push the lane in, but PPD is just waiting. I think he actually senses that something's going to happen, and he's going to run into the Rubik right here. But this shouldn't mean a kill or anything like that, but it does mean that
PPD may just walk him out here. Yeah, he'll get some more right clicks. Lanem just buys himself time with the telekinesis. There is still the snowball. Maybe PPD can actually pick up the skill, especially when he gets in front of Lanem for another extra right click. A snowball? No, he decides against it. CTY is there, ready to go with the split earth, and that would just be a bit too dangerous.
Yeah, and this top lane, Universe still has to be careful because Winter Wyvern, the Arctic Burn, deals so well with most offlaners, and the amount of damage that your Luna can pump out with just the Lunar Blessing by being alive is quite a lot. So he does have to be fearful of this, as he even pops the spiked Carapace to try to avoid some of the damage, but 2 of those hits alone, taking out nearly a 5th of his HP, and ROTK meanwhile at bottom is doing a pretty good job at bottom.
Yeah, he's had to deal with a Skywrath Mage spam, but it seems he's brought enough regen to be able to position himself very forward in lane, and because of the fact that Tusk is doing this kind of really interesting pull scenario, as you can see it right now, exactly how it works. Looks like it does kind of bug out. Looks like the Centaur was still trying to come forward, but the Ice Shards just weren't on the perfect position. Either way, because they don't have an actual stun here in the bottom lane, the Darkseer just has to bring regen to deal with the Skywrath Mage's damage, and then he's fine. There's not much killing potential, just harassment.
Yeah, Universe is being zoned out really heavily in this top lane right now. TDC and YJ are just doing such a good job of forcing him out of this lane and making him uncomfortable, but they are going to push out the lane. This is what happens. The Luna just has such high base damage that CSing for her is so easily done, and it's just going to kill the creeps a little bit faster than you would like, and Universe is going to grab his level 3. And meanwhile, at bottom, ROTK just continues to get levels. He almost has a Soul Ring, and once he does that, I don't actually think he has to be in this bottom lane anymore. He can probably just go to the jungle camp. Because yes, you can disrupt some of the Gyrocopter's farm, but it probably isn't worth it at the risk of your own farm. They might even go on him at bottom as he is out of mana, but he's just going to start the surge early, but he might have just trapped himself as Fear's got phase boots and he's looking for the angle, but just backs off.
Puts a little bit of pressure, I guess, assuming that RTK was going to be able to get away. They also could have bought like maybe a TP scroll from the side shop and gotten out that way. But he'll just pop a couple more surges, getting on back to base. Back over to our middle lane, CTY's 27, 28-4 now, compared to the 23-3. Considering this is a matchup that's favored to the Leshrac, this is a very even CS.
Oh, it's beyond favored to the Leshrac. So the fact that Sumail is somewhat close to this is going to be pretty impressive, and I'm just waiting to see how this goes, because Ehome, if they lose another game to Storm Spirit, I would have to imagine the rest of the tournament, they're just going to live in fear of it. So yeah, this is a pretty big game, not only for Ehome to keep their hopes alive, but just so it's like a confidence booster, right? Like, we can deal with this hero. We don't just have to first or second ban.
Yeah, it limits your drafting capabilities if you have to always ban out a Storm Spirit in the second ban. Second banning phase, rather.
Yeah, and so Fear just continues to free farm just behind the Luna, but he has an Enchanted Mango. I like that, right? It's pretty neat. It's like a nice way of having HP regen and at the same time
that extra bit of mana necessary, especially since he's versus some of these heroes that do have a lot of pressure that they're able to put forward. There's probably going to be some early team fights that happen, and you never know. That Mango could actually come be the sort of savior, the extra rocket barrage to win the fight.
I'm a little concerned right now for EG though, because Ehome's supports are just doing a good job of getting ahead and keeping up in levels, and PPD is only level 2, AUI is kind of suffering equally, and they haven't been able to make anything happen, but EG's lineup, no.
I think PPD really suffered from missing one of those Ice Shards pulls.
Yeah, you have to be really precise with that, I think. Universe is rotating down at this bottom lane, and maybe they just switch completely and send PPD to the off lane. I've seen them do this before.
Why is that?
I think it's just because maybe Ehome feels it's not worth it necessarily to dive the Tusk, and in this way, Universe can just switch with Fear, who can even go to the jungle or rotate to the top lane himself to pressure the Luna.
It just seems Nyx Assassin is, I mean, compared to certain heroes like Tusk and Clockwork, is maybe a bit more farm dependent than those heroes. I mean, he obviously level 6, and that's what gives him his ganking mechanism, but Courier,
rotation.
Ehome, do they want it? Do they not want it?
No, they can't do it anymore.
No,
they waited too long.
They hesitated way too long. That's going to be a smoke spoiled. They do get to see some of these stacks, though, and they can actually farm it up. I mean, they've got the Lightning ready to go. They also have the Winter Wyvern and Splinter Blast, so they're going to go for it. Meanwhile, top lane, we do have a 3-man smoke. We'll see how that goes as Ehome clear through stacks.
This is what I was talking about in the very beginning of the game. I don't know if they switched to us in time, but Luna's such a weak hero that you can just rotate in and kill her, and she's not even going to have enough time to pop anything.
Nope. Immediately taken out by the snowball, and silenced up as well, unable to get off that ultimate. It's funny thing is, like, YJ was backing up at the right time, too, so they actually are just making a full-on lane switch. That's what they're doing. So they're putting Universe now at the bottom lane, and with that, obviously, smoke up, they transfer their tri-lane to the top lane to put pressure on Luna. Universe, smart TP out, it seems.
That failed smoke by Ehome just had so many ripple repercussions for EG. Because if they had been able to kill the Gyrocopter there, then maybe he isn't able to go to that top gank where they kill the Luna and it slows down EG even more. Right. And they're able to get some control on the map, and they force somebody down to help out Fear. But it was just weird because they had the opportunity to get the Courier, and then they decided to go for it after it's past them, over the tree line. Like, they'd all have to hit it twice for them to be able to get that, but
indecision is a killer.
Yeah, they just had to go for it or not. I think they probably could have killed Fear if they hadn't done that, but it's not going to matter. They should be able to trade towers here, but still, it's those little things that kind of separate you from the top.
Yeah, it's why the reason we're really pointing it out is these things specifically is what has oftentimes gotten Ehome behind when they're actually playing usually a very even and crisp, clean game.
Play smart than just 1 or 2 execution mistakes.
ROTK now has his level 7. Evil Geniuses have been clearing through the enemy jungle though, with the regeneration of Sumail. He's got a decent amount of farm. Looks like he's going to be going for the Orchid first. Makes a lot of sense versus the Leshrac, obviously.
Yeah, and they're actually all grouped up here at top, and Fear, he's not really afraid. There's not a whole lot that can burst him down where PPD and AUI can rotate in to help him, and they're even going to slow down the push at top by dragging the creeps over, and just going to get AUI as level 5 and get PPD some much-needed experience.
There are some rotations out from Ehome up to this top lane now, but Fear is already backing himself up. He's going for a rather stat-heavy build, Phase Boots, Ring of Aquila, and the drums all being committed for with the Magic Wand on top.
Alright, so they just smoked S3. Sumail doesn't have the best mana pool to work with, but it shouldn't matter.
They see a lot of heroes already thanks to this ward, which Lana just countered. Still looks like they're going to go for CTY first. DDC does not have the ultimate to counter. He just has the Cold Embrace, so...
They're waiting for him to push up a little bit more, and EG's prepped for this, but it does look like Ehome have an understanding of what's going on, especially when they decided to deward that ward, but Sumail just might want to walk away with DDC at the very least.
Yeah. Smoke, not the hero they really wanted, but it's something they just have to content themselves with. It's better than the Ehome Smoke, which missed the Courier, I suppose.
Yeah, you get away with something at that point. The hope is that you kill the Leshrac, further slow down his Bloodstone, but if not, getting a support is better than nothing here. EG, they've taken control of this top lane heavily, but it does leave the rest of the lanes open, and if you notice that YJ realizes that the safest place on the map is the enemy jungle, and this is the correct play here. So just pressure out the enemy jungle, allow your team to farm in safer places.
What do you think about the Mask of Madness on Luna?
It's really cool. You can farm the Ancients really quickly. It allows you to just propel your farming really, but
much more likely a Helmet Dominator for this game.
Yeah, because you need a Satanic against EG's lineup.
Yeah.
The EG have a ton of burst, and the only way to survive burst as the late game carry is to have a Satanic to be able to turn it around. I know there are some players that like to go for the Mask of Madness, but I think in this game especially, just the HP that you can get out of the Satanic without having to build any stat items is pretty important.
Yeah, and I would also say for like the early to mid game, like Evil Geniuses are very clearly going to put a lot of pressure on Ehome, and Mask of Madness is more of a farming item than anything else.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think Ehome do want to get in fights. Like they have the type of lineup for it. Yeah. When you've got supports like Rubik and Winter Wyvern, they're not the most self-sufficient, and they're definitely not that useful outside of fighting. You're not going to farm with those heroes and change the game. You're going to get into fights, get good Winter's Curses off, do things of that nature, try to get ahead. It's not even like their ganking is very efficient, right? Winter's Curse is okay, but the cooldown on it is so long that you can't really afford to miss it very often.
Mech is about to be finished up by ROTK. He's trying to deal with this push at the bottom lane. How's Universe doing in levels? He's got his level 6 plus Arcane Boots, but he's pretty far behind in farm, especially when you compare it to ROTK. It's obviously unfair to compare these two offlaners. One very clearly has an advantage farm-wise.
Oh, and they actually deward that, so I think EG will also know that they have a ward up there, because how else would they know that they placed it up there, right? But Ehome's in a really good position once again. Once they get the mechanism up on ROTK, they'll feel pretty comfortable because Universe is pretty underleveled, and he can't afford to miss very many ganks at this point. And CTY is getting really close to his Bloodstone. At the same time, Sumail is a little bit further away from his Orchid, so the farm advantage, Ehome can definitely take control of it.
Yeah. So, and especially with the Orchid timing on Storm Spirit, like he's naturally a hero that you want to group up against. right? Because Storm Spirit isn't particularly strong in 5 versus 5 team fights early on. He just like naturally just doesn't have enough mana. Plus Orchid is more of a pick-off item than anything else. So you're naturally going to want to group up anyway. And it seems like Ehome's plan is just going to come together at the right time. The mech, you have the decent amount of stats on your Luna, level 6, and some stats on the Leshrac. Even Winter Wyvern's ready to go.
And they are actually smoked up. They want to take this top tower after this gank. AUI is not even the main target here. It's just that the lane is pushing in, and this is an easy push right after.
Good time for it. Quickly being able to burst down both the Skywrath Mage as well as the wave of creeps. And Evil Geniuses are kind of unlikely to make the rotation. In fact, you could already see Universe starts backing himself away. But Ehome aren't going for the tower. I thought you were spot on the money there.
Yeah, it's really common. Because you're seeing PPD at bottom. He doesn't have enough mana. Even if he TPs, he only has a snowball. The Gyrocopter isn't interested in fighting here at this point. Same with the Storm Spirit, especially when the Winter Wyvern is level 6. So the top tower was pretty easily takeable. Like they had a catapult and everything, and they had the momentum. Like there's no way they anticipated that smoke from Ehome.
I think maybe Ehome are just maybe a bit too tepid after the game 1.
Yeah, but in some ways I like that they still go for the win like that, and I feel like this would have been a similar situation. I think if they were playing any other team but EG, they would have continued to go for that tower. But I think that was just a case of a little bit too much respect, but I don't want to harp on it too much, but I did think that was the correct play. Bloodstone is going to be completed on CTY, a mech is completed on ROTK. The Luna almost has an Ogre Club. You don't want to wait for the full BKB. It would open up a little bit too much space for EG.
Yeah.
So maybe you go for the fight here.
Because that would mean BKB would be finished on the Gyrocopter at the same time.
Yes, exactly.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
It's probably more important that the Gyro gets a BKB this game too, especially since you have a Lush on your team. He can deal with the Gyrocopter at this phase of the game. EG, they're going for the smoke right now, but Ehome is just playing incredibly defensively. Now they're starting to group up, doing the smart thing here, and there's a pretty significant stack for YJ to clean up, and maybe they'll go for the push after he gets this in his Ogre Club.
You could see how scared Evil Geniuses are playing right now. Like all the calls that you're making about Ehome, you know, about to hit their timing, about to be the aggressors. It seems like Evil Geniuses have read that too. Like just the example of cooldown being used in that middle lane, right? I mean, that's them wanting to be able to push out the wave, but not even get close to committing to actually being in that kind of area. So they're playing pretty defensively as well, waiting for that jump from Ehome. The stack is going to be cleared through. YJ will get his Ogre Club, but again, still not close enough. DDC going to be picked off there by the Orchid. Sumail immediately TPing out for fear of recourse from Ehome.
Yeah, and I like that this game he decided to go for the straight Orchid instead of going the Soul Ring like he normally does. I think getting it even a minute or two earlier allows you to get a free kill without Ehome being able to respond. Because once Ehome hits all their timings, then I feel like they just group up, and it's too hard for that Orchid to really pay for itself. And I like that he went for it overall, because against Winter Wyvern, you're going to have so many issues once he gets a Glimmer Cape.
Yeah.
So by the time you get your Orchid, the effectiveness of it dies out.
And I think that early pickoff, just to build on that early pickoff is kind of stalling up Ehome's timing, and we're getting to a point, especially like EG tried to go for a smoke ink earlier with the Nyx Assassin. We didn't really talk about it, but it feels like that's one of those timings where if you do get a pickoff there, you may just manage to stall up Ehome long enough for you to get your BKB before their first like real aggressive offensive action. And even if it's not the first time, maybe the second time, right? Like, for example, here, Ehome, if they want to go for this top tower, Evil Geniuses could just say, okay, we're going to give this tower up, but the next tower you push in, we will have that BKB for Gyro.
CTY is being slowed up, but he himself should be able to tank enough, and Ehome is actually wrapping around, trying to see if they can find anybody, but Sumail's actually doing such a good job of keeping up in farm relative to Ehome. He's got 150 CS, 2 kills as a Storm Spirit. He's going to be incredibly satisfied with that, so... EG, it's not even like they're behind or anything like that. It makes it sound like they are, but...
A lot of he's going to be able to catch AUI, and he actually grabbed the Illusions, which is going to be a bit of downside. That just means that extra Splinter Blast nuke will kill him all the faster. Lana will get the heal, and with the 5-man already here from Ehome, they will try and push down this tier 1 tower. Top tower does get denied by PPD at the same time, though.
Yeah, they're going to glyph this, but it should go down. Really what it comes down to when it comes to tower defenses is it's not even really a numbers game. It's that you have people set up there so that only 1 or 2 people max have to TP in, meaning that you don't have to undercommit for it. And, Good move by EG to give it up. Even better move by Ehome to take down that tower. And YJ's going to finish the stack now, I think. His creep dies, unfortunately, before he can do it one more time. But the BKB is coming up on him. And they timed their pushes out really well so that EG couldn't respond. And this BKB will come at a decent time.
Speaking of BKBs, though, we've mentioned it a few times. Fear finally has his, and he's got a big old ancient stack that he will be able to farm up on top of that. So he can quite quickly start moving towards his next item. Is it just, like, especially since you've invested so heavily into early game stat items, you just go for the late game item now, like a straight butterfly or MKB?
I think MKB is a really good choice if you think that the Luna is going to eventually get a butter. You don't want to just immediately get the butter and hope, because most of the damage is nukes. And Sumail at top, I mean, he's looking for it right now, and DDC's running away. He does have the mana pool to do this, and this might just mean another pick-off for Sumail. Nobody's even close to DDC, and Sumail's just ruining DDC's life.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't go for the TP out there, but I guess he assumed that Sumail's going to be able to jump him and vortex at some point. Yeah. Storm Spirit is BKB his next item, right? Just because he's dealing with Leshrac, too much magic damage. Luna as well, with some of that AoE from Eclipse.
Bloodstone first, and then...
Okay. I thought maybe he would go for the early BKB, simply because there's a chance that Ehome go for, you know, a lot of 5-manning.
I think BKB might be okay, but I think getting the Bloodstone, and if Ehome decides to overcommit for the 5-man, allows you to just win the game from having that item. I think that it just does too much for Storm. Like, it allows you to revive faster, it allows you to snowball sooner, it allows you to stay on the map and farm more. Because the HP aspect of it too is underrated. If you want tank, you get a Bloodstone on Storm. It just solves so many of your issues. Yeah. It's too good not to get as a second item. It's like one of those weird cores that you don't want to get a BKB on second.
So Ehome very shyly went for their timing early on with taking some of those towers, but didn't really commit too much. They've taken just the tier 1s. Now they have the BKB for Luna. Is this another timing for them, or should they sit back and continue to farm up?
No, the thing is, EG is doing the same exact thing. They got a Blink Dagger. They've got Fear, who actually pops his, and I think Universe even envisioned, but when you hit these types of timings and you're wondering why do teams do this, like why don't they just continue to farm or anything like that, it's that what are you really waiting for? By just splitting up and farm, you're leaving yourself open to opportunities to get picked off. So when Ehome hits a timing where they get a BKB on their Luna and he's got 77 gold, what is it that you're waiting for anymore, right? Like nothing. You can't just keep delaying these pushes and saying, we'll wait, we'll wait, we'll wait. You're comfortable with this type of timing that you're going to hit, and this might actually work out perfectly as they're going to get the wraparound smoke.
PPD, the first telekinesis into the split trying to burst him down. He does manage to get out the snowball. Luna takes some damage from Universe. It looks like our Tusk should still be falling. He gets out some damage with the Walrus Punch and the Ice Shards, but in the end, that 5-man smoke does manage to find a pickoff on just to support Ehome. I was about to say, tier 2 a Roshan. They only get a support, so it seems like Roshan is the much better option.
Going for a tier 2 against a lineup like EG's when you have to base push against a Storm Spirit with full mana is just so dangerous. Yeah. Like, you don't know what's going to come. If DDC gets popped in the middle of the fight, or even Lanem, and all of a sudden you've got a 4v4, and then the Gyrocopter lays into your team, it's a little bit too dangerous. Plus, YJ is playing Luna, one of the weaker carries at just surviving. So going for the Roshan every single time when you're dire side especially is just a safe play.
Yeah, this rates it completely erases a chance that Ehome go into a commitment and they're the ones initiated on and the Luna dies immediately, right, before she can get out the BKB. Because then if that happens, she'll come back a second time, has the BKB ready to go.
You know what's interesting about this game from the previous one? EG actually had Storm pretty much free farm. And I was really worried that would happen to Ehome, but it seems like Ehome's strategy was more to shut out Universe as much as possible, and then just play defensively and force Sumail to come to them. And they've done a really good job of that. Like, excluding Sumail's 2 solo kills onto DDC, they've actually only had 2 kills independent of that.
Those are very minor pickoffs, especially since he went for the Orchid first rather than the Bloodstone. Yeah. You don't actually have much of a snowballing factor there.
Oh, and mid too.
Fear. He doesn't actually get off the BKB in time and almost gets chain stunned down to death. Now he's actually being run down by the dog. Bog Edict just need one more right click. No, it's still not enough. Another one was required. Fear barely gets away. He was committing for the MKB too, so that would have been a prime opportunity for Ehome to get a pick off there. But while he is dead, they're going to go ahead and try and take this tier 2 tower.
Yeah, that was really well played by Ehome for that attempt, but Fear Sumail did the right thing there. He just kind of took the heat off of Fear's back and slowed them down just enough so that they couldn't catch up. But that's still a 10-second BKB that you've committed. And Ehome doing a good job right now of taking control of the map. PPD doing his best to just force the Luna around the map so that they can't go for the death ball.
So Fear forced back to the fountain, but Ehome unable to get more than a couple right clicks on that tier 2. Now forced to defend their bottom lane. YJ's got another 1,700 gold. Butterfly can't really be his option because we do see an early MKB being built by Fear. So at which point, what's your item? Do you go for like a stat-based build on Scotty, or?
Manta's not bad. Maybe you even still get the butter, but Manta's a really good option. And as I said that, he's about to get the Yasha. I think it just increases the farm potential of Luna just a little bit too much, but Ehome...
And there's an Orchid on the Storm Spirit. I mean, even if he does have BKB, he doesn't want to have to commit a BKB every single time Storm jumps him.
Yeah. What's neat, though, is that when this game kind of passived out after they took Roshan, Ehome just continued to stack their Ancients. So they just continue to get further ahead on the Luna, but Gyrocopter's still second in net worth, but when it comes to actual net worth, it's incredibly close. If it hadn't been for that Roshan, Ehome would actually be behind, which is a little bit surprising, but that's just on the heels of Sumail doing such a good job of keeping up in farm and not dying whatsoever.
PPD, EG have kind of read this. I mean, top lane's empty, bottom and middle are both pushing out. Ehome are nowhere to be seen on the map, so it's got to be a 5-man smoke somewhere. Universe may still be caught. No. He pops the Vendetta in time before CTY could go for a Eul Scepter play. What do you think about Eul Scepter here?
Oh, on CTY? Oh, it's fine. You need some sort of setup on Ehome. If you look at their lineup, before the Darkseer gets a Blink Dagger, you need something to open up. That's why CTY is actually being sent first. It's not just because of the Aegis, but Universe does a good job of avoiding it. Calldown's going to come down, but that's not enough damage. He'll just make it off.
It's good versus Orchid. It sets him up for the Storm Spirit kill. Especially since he did go for that Bloodstone, like, that means the Storm Spirit is actually very susceptible to Eul's Split Earth.
EG right now, they're having a tough time looking for an angle right now because Ehome is just doing a good job of keeping together. And EG are doing what they can. Sumail just continues to farm, which is the correct decision, definitely. But they're just getting a little bit less farm than Ehome are right now.
There's going to be a big team fight buff here for Ehome very soon. RTK is about to complete his Blink Dagger, I believe. So this will now set up the Winter Wyvern, as well as maybe, you know, Telekinesis or Split Earth plays are possibilities as well. But it's really the Winter's Curse Vacuum combination that's so deadly.
Yeah, as long as they watch out for that, Ehome or EG should still be okay. They've got a ton of clear. The Storm Spirit just continues to get so farmed.
They've got the heroes that are very good at spreading out. Like, obviously, Storm Spirit's one of them, but then they've got a Blink Dagger hero, a Nyx Assassin, Tusk. He usually sits back and snowballs in anyway. I can see how, like, this Winter's Curse vacuum combo may only catch, like, I feel like the most 2 heroes, like the Gyrocopter plus Skywrath Mage. Probably your most obvious go.
Yeah, and Storm, again, takes the net worth lead. Really surprising considering the landscape of this game. The first tier 2 tower was taken by Ehome, but Sumail, he's not forcing anything or overextending. He's not looking to make fights happen. He's just letting things naturally happen to him. And he realizes that because of the type of lineup that Ehome has, the one downside of this is they are sort of forced to 5-man, Ehome are, and when this happens, it means that you'll naturally get ahead despite the tower advantage.
Aegis is now down. Evil Geniuses, like, they complete the MKB on the Gyrocopter. Did they go in at that point? Like, he just needs another 1,000 gold. I mean, because Luna is the more powerful late game hero.
I don't think so. I think Gyro is still better.
No? He's still better?
Yeah, because the option for Gyro exists where you can get a, what's that item called? A Divine. And it's so strong.
Okay.
And there's nothing on Ehome that'll instantly burst him down once he has a BKB.
What about the supporting cast then? Of both sides. You've got the Vacuum Winter's Curse on one side, but then you've got the Storm Spirit.
Oh, PPD's going to get caught out here.
Yeah, they do have maybe a snowball to save him. No, he turns around, but he's being placed on ROTK. So CTY.
They sniped the courier too, though.
It's true. So a 5th kill finally on the board for Ehome.
Universe, I think, sniped that, yeah. He found it in the jungle. Universe has had a tough game. He hasn't died, but he just hasn't had opportunities to make use of his ultimate or that Blink Dagger.
Yeah. It's kind of like running around as a clockwork and just like, there's no kills on the board, right? Like, you're running around as a clockwork, what else do you do? You're not particularly a strong farming hero. At least Nyx Assassin has certain things like Aghanims he can go for late game.
Oh yeah,
but he's much more kill focused than anything else. It's just no opportunities for him.
All right, so Ehome probably waits out the next Aegis. It's going to come up within the next 4 minutes.
He's still going to go Butterfly on Luna. He's got the Eagle song on him now.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just,
yeah,
it's still good on the Storm, against the Storm.
Yeah, that's
It's
true.
not great against the Gyrocopter, but it's still good against the Storm Spirit. And it increases your damage output by quite a lot. And this top, CTY wanted to go for the Yules on Fear just to force the BKB, if anything. Oh, they see Vision of Sumail right now. CTY is going to try to Yules him from Vision, but Sumail's going to spot this coming with his Remnant.
Yeah, they actually hit PPD. Meeting with the Yules. Split Earth will land this time. PPD is going to be bursting down, but at the same time, Sumail makes his entrance. Nice vacuum in, but they still don't have DDC. Actually puts the Winter's Curse onto Sumail. The rest of Ehome turning now to deal with him, but he managed to get the jump into the river. He's good. Meanwhile, Fear, he's popped his BKB and is trying to fight up against 3 different heroes, but BKB will run out eventually, and it seems he's just running out of time. He's going to try and finish off ROTK, but not even that is possible. Ehome do take the fight, getting 3 in exchange for just their Rubik.
Yeah, I don't think EG anticipated the amount of damage that Ehome was able to put out, and the supports from Ehome right now are just so much stronger. Like, AUI can't really do anything when everybody BKBs. He's only playing a Skywrath. He's not playing a hero that we typically see him play where you can go for the solo pickoffs or punish Ehome for playing so passive, right? Like, often we see him play heroes like Naga or Lina that can just go around the map and do what he wants, but Ehome have just played this really frustrating game where they just don't allow any openings for EG, and they're doing such a good job of it. They're not really giving EG any chances to get back in this game, and with all the multiple BKBs up, Universe's impact has been severely limited.
Yeah, I mean, as you point that out, there's 3 different heroes, like the Skywrath Mage, Tusk, and Nyx Assassin, all who farming on is just not very valuable. You know, sitting back, if as you were saying, if AUI had one of his signature greedy 4 positions, they would be in a much better position with this passive play, but as it is, it's really only Sumail and Fear's Gyrocopter that are getting any sort of progression in items that is worthy to talk about. Like, yes, there is a 4-staff on Nyx Assassin. That's nice utility, but it doesn't change the landscape of the game too much.
Sumail's going to go for the TP out. I actually think ROTK could have sniped him there. If he had, I don't think he was watching because his hero wasn't clicked, but if he had gone for the vacuum, that was just unlucky by Sumail because he rolled right next to the Darkseer with like a second left on his TP, and ROTK must have just been like, what the hell? But at top, Fear's going to get opened up on, and it's just a move to force him to BKB.
At the same time, CTY doesn't want to try and force it too much. He doesn't want to have to use his own BKB if someone else is behind Fear, so it just clears through the creep wave, puts a little pressure on Fear, and backs up nice and quick. YJ is about to complete his Butterfly. And Roshan. Good timing for Ehome.
Yeah, they're playing a completely objective-based Dota. They're playing around the Roshan timings. They're not letting EG open up on them when before the Roshan.
To stop this. I mean,
they're the best team in the world at fighting Roshan when they're behind.
Here comes 4-man smoke up. How do they lead things off here? Universe does have the Blink Dagger to start things with a jump in, EG. They actually spread themselves out. They don't realize that Roshan was actually happening, it seems like. Universe jumps forward, but there's a blink over to the side from ROTK. PPD and some serious trouble.
Going for it right now.
Activated Lana is actually going to be the target here of Gyrocopter, but the Winter's Curse plus the wall is going to be the target. Sumail now jumps in, going for ROTK, has to jump himself out though, as he realizes the team fight is totally lost. Ehome will now clean up the rest of the heroes. Lana will be taken out by Sumail, who now jumps over to get DDC as well. Still has some mana left, but hit by the Split Earth and the last couple of right clicks. Maybe not worth it to get those 2 supports, but Ehome now try and challenge for Roshan. Sumail buys back, and he's got a lot of mana. He makes a long-range jump, going for CTY, almost lands on top of him, but he does still get CTY. Now man's fights again to YJ.
Picks up the gem too.
He's running himself out. He's low on mana, but just enough to be able to get over this cliff. So he gets the ledge rank, takes the gem, but at the same time, Ehome will still claim Roshan.
Does he still go for this? No way.
The ballsy maneuver, but he's not fast enough. Aegis is now grabbed by CTY.
That was such an incredibly close fight. If things had broken a little bit for EG, that Winter's Curse, though, destroyed them. Like, they weren't able to put out any damage.
Oh,
Universe
YJ.
can't survive. Oh, this was greedy.
At the very least, you can be happy that he wasn't the one who grabbed the Aegis, because maybe he would have died a second time there, but that's rough. That's such a simple pick-off that actually just kind of evens up the team fight we just had around Roshan.
Yeah, because the Leshrac died in that fight too. He was able to naturally respawn, but it's still an advantage Ehome, because they had to force out Sumail's buyback. I guess he made the money back, so it's okay. It just depends on whether or not Ehome have enough time to punish this.
Yeah.
Like, they have the Aegis on the Leshrac. I think that with this, once you wait for the Luna to come back online, you start going for it, but just really well played by Ehome, being able to isolate out so many different heroes. The BKBs are just ruining EG right now because they don't have any physical damage aside from the gyrocopter.
So Sumail goes for the Lincolns instead of a BKB. I'm presuming just because Winter's Curse is so strong against him. There is still the possibility that he gets caught. The vacuum, Winter's Curse doesn't need to be placed on the Storm Spirit necessarily. It just needs to be caught in the AoE.
What he's playing for right now is the potential of Storm. More than... He's trying to just say, okay, if I go for a BKB here, it doesn't give me any more damage, it doesn't give me any more mana regen. Yeah. But if I go for the Lincolns, it's a pseudo defensive item, but it allows me to continue to snowball forward. Like, a Lincolns is an item that you would want in your absolute 6-slot as a Storm. So he's just playing for the late game potential of the Storm Spirit rather than going for the mid game item build. Like, I'm completely okay with him doing this here.
Okay.
That's a game-losing BKB, as EE would say.
4-man smoke up, Ehome. They've got this Aegis, and as you were kind of saying earlier, that last Roshan fight, it all kind of comes down to whether or not they're able to utilize this Aegis to gain an advantage. Looks like they're going to set up on the tier 2 tower. Evil Geniuses, I think, reading that the Leshrac's got to have somebody behind him, are immediately going up to the top part of the map, whether that's farming up the jungle, maybe putting pressure on the tier 2 there. Whatever they're doing, it's just staying away from the bottom lane.
There's no way that you can fight. With no vision, you don't really... You know for sure that Ehome are behind CTY, but you're not exactly sure where they are, and this might actually be really bad for EG, because Ehome is going to read that they're all at top, so even if EG TP for this, it's going to allow Ehome to set up for however they want the fight to go, and EG just aren't going to be set for this, and so this is just going to be a free tower for Ehome, and not enough time for EG to respond.
The glyph is there. Tier 2 gets taken at the middle lane. Top tier 2 being threatened as well. CTY. Here comes the initiation. Universe actually misses that one. Now pops the spike here, but the CTY already pops BKB. Meanwhile, Lanham is able to get away thanks to the Glimmer Cape. Fear now making his entrance, but there goes that Winter's Curse, holding him in as best as possible. Couple little lightning strikes, and PPD is forced into a defensive snowball now. Is going to be heading back in, but Ehome, as they lose their BKBs, start manning down a little bit. Now the extra initiation, once again, Universe kind of missing up on that one. Sumail still able to get Lanham. CTY, though, is healthy as ever, and he's able to turn this fight. RTK gets a decent vacuum, but still no follow-up from the rest of Ehome. YJ is just a little bit low, but they're going to try and commit for the racks now. Skywrath Mage dropping lower as the bouncing blades starts getting to him, and he will end up dying to the Split Earth at the very tail end of that fight. The rest of EG just too low on mana and HP to punish Ehome, especially since they're still fighting into that Aegis. So Ehome actually managed to claim a full lane of racks, win a team fight still, and still have that Aegis ready to go if they want to go for another push.
Yeah, and the Luna's finished, fully completed Satanic right now. I think EG, it's really difficult when Ehome gets set up like that and they've got the BKBs and they can use them defensively like that. Like, they just picked up their third BKB onto their Darkseer. They need stuff like this to happen as Sumail initiates on DDC, who is invis. Do they have a gem for this? They've got a sentry at the very least, so DDC should go down. And Sumail, I mean, 12 Bloodstone charges now, and that's a decent amount, but he's going to need a little bit more than that.
His next item, is it like Scythe of Ice to be able to lock down the Luna? Do you go with Shivas to try and slow down these heroes and just make yourself tankier?
I think Scythe of Ice is... I think a Shiva's might be better, but I wouldn't fault him for going for the Scythe of Ice. He might just feel like the Hex won't make a big enough difference, whereas the Shivas, you can get some AoE damage out, guarantee that when you do your initial roll-in, you can pretty much just burst one of the support heroes down as fast as possible. But right now, it's not even his items that really matter too much. It's that he needs Fear to just get really stacked, because Ehome are just kind of running in, doing whatever they want, and EG just can't put out enough damage. Like Sumail rolls in, once he uses initial mana pull, Ehome feel pretty comfortable with staying in that fight. That's why YJ was able to just stay with 800 HP. Because they know that Sumail doesn't have a Hex, he doesn't have a Shivas, and so he can't really chase past that point. Because if he just gets unlucky with a few butterfly procs, then the Storm is overcommitted and dies.
Ehome, if they really want to take advantage of this, they can try and push before the butterfly is complete on the gyrocopter, but I'm not even sure, like, damage-wise, it's obviously a big increase, but I'm not even sure the evasion's going to be all that valuable for the gyrocopter. You still got the bouncing glaives, you've got Leshrac, all that magic damage coming out.
It would be good if he didn't, if his BKB wasn't almost down to 5 seconds.
Yeah.
But with the BKB being down to 5 seconds, CT-wise effectiveness is just going to skyrocket, and Fear is the only person with a BKB on his team, so he's the only person that can really step forward, but it means that he's going to have to blow his BKB earlier than he would like. Because there's not a whole lot of defensive heroes from EG. It's not like they have an Earthshaker that will really scare the bejesus out of Ehome. They've got Snowball, but even then, that's not the best.
You saw the Octarine core completed for the Leshrac. That means we're now down to that pesky 3-second Lightning Storm, and obviously a lot more HP and mana, and just general survivability, obviously, because he's outputting so much damage that he's spell stealing quite a bit. He's just a monster. Tier 2 falls without much of a fuss.
Can't even really defend that. If you're Ehome and you want to secure this game, you go for the Roshan, but the scary thing is I think EG would prefer them to do that and just take another fight, right? You just go for another Roshan fight and hope that it goes a little bit better. So you can surprise them for sure there, but allowing Ehome to just set up and take Roshan for free is probably a death sentence.
Do you still complete the Manta this late on the Luna?
You might. They actually have...
Oh god, Universe, hello! Yeah, they have countervision, my friend, and now that's the gem dropped. They've lost all control. Like, everything outside of Evil Genius's base is Ehome territory now.
I think you just push mid if you're Ehome now. Like, it's only Universe, but still. Universe doesn't have buyback, and it is one of your initiating stuns that you've got. It's not like PPD has a Blink Dagger, and so Ehome's going to feel pretty confident now, especially since they just got the gem, too. The Glimmer Cape has just become so strong.
Yeah, they keep the gem, the extra one, now in the Courier, sending it back to base. So even if they do lose that fight, they'll have a gem ready to go. The ultimate, all the spam essentially being dropped to try and slow down Ehome, while Universe is down for 15 seconds.
It looks like Ehome is a little bit hesitant to send CTY forward, but I don't know why. They've got a BKB and an Octarine core on him, but it just looks like they want to secure the win. And Lanam actually has the Vendetta, which shouldn't do too much, but I guess it's just one other thing to have to deal with.
Yeah. I mean, well, essentially, especially because they do not have... oh, no, they do. They have a gem now on Universe.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So
PPD had one.
Gem, so. They do have a way to scout out the Rubik Huts, I suppose. I was thinking Lanam would just sit very aggressively with his Vendetta constantly.
If he was able to do that, that would ruin the game. Oh, Manta is finished by YJ. You were correct. You did still go for it. You might as well, right? Why fill up the extra item slot when you're probably going to get the Aegis?
Yeah, and you're still going to go Boots of Travel to replace your Treads, and then the Scotty to replace the 6th slot, the TP score slot.
Exactly.
Is that the item build?
Yeah, right. I think so. More than anything, it's just, if he goes for another item, he can't get the Aegis. Who else is going to hold the Aegis on Ehome? Your Leshrac is 6 slotted. Probably give the cheese to the Darkseer, who's got a wand to drop. It's part of Dota item resources. Oh, Roche is up. You think EG should fight a Roche?
I think they have to, right? I mean, it's a very clear role that Ehome is on. You gotta try and throw a wrench in this banner.
Yeah, Fierce TPing back already, but they gotta go for this right now. Yeah, Sumail decided to go for the Shivas. I think he had to. Like, it's not just the Luna or the Leshrac that matters. It's both of them. They gotta move quickly. This is gonna be done pretty fast. Too late.
Ehome already halfway through Roshan.
Maybe they don't even know that. They have to know that it's up. Maybe they just understand that they can't really fight in there.
I mean, they are going to be playing around buybacks quite heavily, I would presume. They still have... okay, they have no buybacks.
They have 0 buybacks.
It's all based on gold. They have no buybacks. I mean, Storm Spirit has 12 Bloodstone charges, so that's a decently low death timer, but not low enough for you to die and continue to force the fight.
You need 1 per level, I think.
Yeah.
How do I not know this for sure?
That's usually how I read it. Like,
yeah.
if I have 15 Bloodstone charges by level 15, I'm like, yeah, that's about an instant respawn.
Yeah, so the Shiva's is almost completed on CTY, and he actually is the one that takes the cheese, which I guess is okay.
I feel like this is one of the biggest item upgrades, despite, you know, we're talking about all these like great late game items for Luna and everything else. I feel like this Blink Dagger from DDC is actually one of the biggest pickups they can get over the last like 5 to 10 minutes, because that now means they have Blink Darkseer and Blink Winter Wyvern. If they manage to get a combination, the team fight's just over.
They've got the problem right now for EG is that there's just so much lockdown on Ehome right now from the Winter's Curse alone. It's gonna scare everybody on EG because you can't really group up, but Ehome's lineup forces you to walk into them, and EG, they've pretty much got one shot at this, especially with no buybacks up, and there's no farm progression coming on the side of EG because they can't leave their base. So this next fight is really going to determine a lot. If they can hold though, and you get a few more Bloodstone charges on Sumail, Storm is one of the best heroes at turning around a game that's lost.
And you've already got the sort of like the maxed out Ehome almost. So they actually now have a Vlad's on Darkseer, another upgrade for, in particular, our Luna. And here it comes, the death push out from Ehome. This game number 2 between Evil Geniuses. Ehome are desperate for a win. They've lost too many games that have been close. Shiva's now complete from CTY as well. YJ is already dropping a bit low. Of course, he's got a Satanic and Aegis.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
If it costs him half his HP, and yeah, and as he backs up, he immediately gets both an Urn as well as a Cold Embrace to heal him back up to full.
He still has the Manta too, so going for the high ground right here is not that big of an issue for Ehome. They just are so afraid of losing this fight.
Comes forward again, trying to
Universe on the side though.
Yeah, they try and grab him, and Sumail jumping in on DDC, but immediately the Ghost Scepters are there to be able to defend. They're down, Universe still doesn't find quite the opening he's looking for, and now that that's sort of been stunted, Ehome surge right back into the enemy base, look to be able to take that melee Rax. Universe comes back in, Sumail jumping from bottom this time, but again, the Ghost Scepter is there. Sumail just has no effectiveness against that now. We do have our Luna dropping the Aegis. Fear actually gets controlled by the Winter's Curse. He really doesn't do much there. YJ's going to be in a bad position because he doesn't have his BKB, but of course there's the Cold Embrace to keep him alive. Now Sumail actually hit by the Yule Scepter, plus the Split Earth combination. Controls him a little bit, but a good force tap to the side helps get him away. The ultimate out from YJ chases away the rest of Evil Geniuses, and they manage to actually do a lot, forcing Ehome to drop the Aegis and a couple of their heroes.
Oh, that bounce!
Oh, wow. Universe stuck out. Sumail's now going to jump in and going for Lana. They have a really good call down to be able to slow down the rest of Ehome. This could be EG cleaning up. They get one of the supports, but now YJ and CTY are still looking very healthy, and he's got the Satanic on top of that. Fear falls. He doesn't have a buyback. Evil Geniuses, this is just, they have too much of a deficit facing Ehome.
Yeah, and YJ got past the cheese, I think, in the middle of that fight at the same time. Yeah, it was used by him, and pops the Satanic to get to full. Storm is still alive.
Sumail looked for an opening there on one of the supports or something, but Ehome, this was the Ehome that we saw in one of our games, and we saw certain aspects of it in many of the other games that they lost. They can just look so clean and crisp in their gameplay and just not make any mistakes, and it just seems like they're an unstoppable team at some point. I'm not sure what really changed between Game 1 and Game 2 for them to get that kind of mentality, but if they keep it up, I can see Ehome going very far.